Yes, Aviva.
So why mystery? I mean, why not a historical epic? Did you always love mysteries? And what are your favorite mystery films or mystery authors?
Well, why mysteries and not historical
Or
epics?
just as an example.
As an example, right?
Children's book.
Yeah, I wanted to write the Iliad, but it was like water for elephants. You know, someone beat me to it. I guess I think that crime novels generally are inherently visual. You know, it's usually a lot of drama and a lot of great conflict, and so for me, that's one of the things I really like about it. Yeah, and what was the second part of your question?
What are your favorite, like, mystery, either authors or films?
Okay, well, favorite mystery authors and films. Mystery authors, well, you know, George Pelecanos, Dennis Lehane. There's some new authors coming up that I think are really great, like Dennis Tafoya, Michael Wiley, Lawrence Block. You know, just came out with a new book. I like Lawrence Block very much. Donald Westlake, Carl Hyacin. And then favorite films, probably The Big Sleep and Out of the Past are two of my favorite. And if you've not seen either of these, very worth seeing. If you see The Big Sleep, though, make sure you see the original Big Sleep and not the remake that was done, I think, in the 1970s. It totally sucks. One more question.
How would you cast this character that you've now read in your second book?
This is a question I get a lot, is how would you cast the lead character, Willis Gidney? Which actor would play Willis Gidney? Well, you know, we contacted Pee Wee Herman, and he can't do it. So I actually have an idea in mind. I think there's a current Hollywood actor who I think would be terrific as Willis Gidney, but I'm not going to tell you who he is. And the reason I'm not doing that is because then if I do that, when you read the book, you're like, oh, it's Joe Blow, of course. You know, I'm picturing him through all these scenes. And I want the reader to come up with their own idea of who Willis Gidney is and what he looks like. I play a little game with the reader also where you don't get a whole lot of information about Gidney. Because it's first-person narrative. He knows what he looks like. Why is he going to tell someone, you know? He already knows. So the reader has to kind of create in their mind what this character looks like. And so that would be another reason for me not to say. But I'm totally interested in what you guys think in terms of who you think would be a good actor to play this part. And then we'll be, yes?
Do you have the whole plot in your head before you start, or it develops together with the character?
Do I have the whole plot in my head, or does it develop with the character? I don't have the whole thing in my head when I begin, but I have a general idea of where I want to go. I sort of liken it to driving a car where, you know, I can see the Washington Monument on the horizon. I know that's where I want to head. I don't know what roads I'm going to take to get there, but I know that's where I want to end up. And so, you know, sometimes when I'm writing, I'll make a wrong turn or two, but generally I know which direction I'm going in. Yeah. Sam?
How much of you is in Willis Gidney?
How much of me is in Willis Gidney? We share a similar worldview, I think. We're alike in a lot of ways. I think that if I were younger, taller, better looking, and had faster reflexes, we could be twins. Yeah. So, but we're not the same person. And so, you know, it took me a while, actually. When I was writing Drink the Tea, when I finished the first draft, I had a better sense of who Willis Gidney was than when I started Drink the Tea. By the time I finished all the revisions on Drink the Tea, I had a really good idea of who he was, and so I was very much wanting to write more about him because I thought he was an interesting character. So in the process of writing about him is where I learn a lot about him. Yes. And yes, lovely young lady in the front.
Hello. I know that you wrote about the juvenile justice system, and that's a theme throughout your novels, and I wondered if you had some sort of experience that inspired you to focus on that.
Did I have any experience in the juvenile justice system? No. And one of the big compliments I got on Drink the Tea was I was at a social function, and someone I didn't know came up to me and asked me had I ever gone through the juvenile justice system in D.C. And I said no. And she said, well, you really had me believing it because I work in the juvenile justice system, she said, and I really thought you'd gone through it, which is like one of the nicest things anyone's told me about the book. So no, but I know people, and I've talked to people that have gone through it, and so a lot of what I'm writing about has come from that, and also interviewing people, Sari Horowitz and Scott Hyam from the Washington Post wrote a lot about this a couple years back, and I got to speak with them. They were nice enough to talk to me. And then they also turned me on to other people who worked in the system and were child advocates. So that's where a lot of my information comes from, the stuff that I'm not making up. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people give me hard information, which I quickly subvert. Yes, Derek?
I know as a filmmaker, there's not much routine in your life. You know, every day, every week is something different. What is your routine as a writer?
What's my routine as a writer? Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. It's very strenuous. Up at 6:30 every morning, breakfast at 7, back in bed by 7:30 is my usual. Yeah, if I get into the real groove, I can hit bedtime around 7:15 a.m., you know, back in bed by 7:15. Days where I'm not shooting, I'll take the mornings off for writing. So as early as I can start, that's good, and I'll go for maybe 4 hours. I try to write a certain number of words per day if I can. So that's basically what I try to do, and you know, try not to let anything distract me. Also, I don't write at home. It's the thing when I'm doing a first draft. It's really helpful for me to be someplace else other than my own house because I find being at home is very distracting. I see all the stuff I need to do, all the light bulbs that are burned out, you know, physically and also metaphorically. So it's better for me to be someplace else when I'm doing that first drafting.
So where is that?
Where's the someplace else? Usually a coffee shop. I'll find like a neighborhood coffee shop, hang out there, and that usually works pretty well. I've written on airplanes. I've written in hotel rooms. I took my son to a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese and did a chapter of Drink to Tea there. One of my better chapters was at Chuck E. Cheese. So, yeah, so it just, you know, I seem to be able to write in lots of different places. Yes, Tom, yes.
Yeah. So this detective listens to baseball games that are recorded on CD, is that correct?
Yes, he listens to baseball games on CDs.
Does he listen to the same one over and over, or does he just listen to it once to find out? Why would someone do that?
Why would anybody, this is a very interesting question, why would anyone record a baseball game onto a CD and listen to it over and over again? Well, I'll try to answer that. To Willis Gidney, and to a degree to myself also, a baseball game is like a kind of music. And when you listen to it, I find especially in the evening, if I'm driving the car at night and I'm listening to a ball game, it's incredibly relaxing. And I'm a person who's really not interested in sports at all. I mean, I don't know anything about the teams that are playing each other. I don't know who's really hot and who isn't, or who they just paid a huge amount of money to have on their team. I mean, I don't know any of that information. But there's a kind of call and response that's going on. There's a sort of timelessness to it where, you know, you hear the crowd sounds, you hear, you know, them up to bat, you hear the quiet, and then you hear like a crack, and the bat and the ball connect, and then you hear the crowd sound, and the announcer goes really nuts, and you know, it's like, it's just a wonderful thing. So I think that Gidney and I share that. You know, it's just, it's kind of a music that we like to listen to. So I hope that answers your question. All right, Dominic, you have something? Do I write longhand or use a word processor? I use a word processor, and one of the things that really helped me a lot when I ran across this. This is like the best single piece of advice I ever got about writing. And when I came across it, I thought it was total bullshit. I couldn't believe it. First I thought it was a typo, and then I thought, oh, this can't be right. And it made me really angry for a couple of days. And then after about 3 days of being really burned up about it, I said, okay, I'm going to try this. And what it was is the writer said to turn off the screen of the computer when you're writing something, or cover it with a piece of paper so you can't see what you're writing. And what this does is it really improves the flow of words. And when you're writing a first draft, that's what it's all about, is getting the flow. And so it really helped me a lot to do that. And so, you know, I would recommend everybody try that if you're interested in doing some kind of writing. Yeah.
You misspell a lot.
I misspell like crazy. You know, you can't believe what a bad typist I am. And also the other thing is that I can't have any other applications open. Because I'm such a bad typist, I'll switch applications because I can't see it, right? And now I'm in some browser, and I'm typing away merrily, you know, thinking like, wow, this is the best thing I've ever done. What a great chapter this is going to be. And then I come in, oh, it's Firefox? When did this happen? Oh, it happened an hour ago. Oh. So I only leave the word processor as the only application open, so I can't switch applications accidentally. I'm a terrible, terrible typist. Yeah, the worst. Yes, no. Talk a little bit more about Willis. All right. Well, he's not a superhero. He's a flawed character, but I think flawed characters are good. in Aristotle's Poetics, he talks about, like, there are 4 types of lead character. And one of them is completely perfect in every way, boring. And the one is, like, nearly perfect, but it's got some flaws that we can identify with. That would be Willis. Third character is evil in every way. And the fourth is mostly evil with a few good qualities thrown in. So I think of Cody Jarrett from White Heat for that last character. You know, terrible guy, psychopath, but he really loved his mom. So Willis is a character who's flawed. You know, when I was writing Drink the Tea, at one point in the book, one of the minor characters shows him her high school yearbook. And when he sees the high school yearbook, it really ticks him off. He gets very upset and angry about it because he doesn't have anything like that himself. He doesn't have any, didn't go to high school, didn't graduate high school, but also, I mean, her past is documented and his isn't. He doesn't know what happened in the first couple years of his life. So his reactions to things are going to be different than mine would be or that yours would be. And that difference, I think, is what makes him an interesting character, or part of what makes him an interesting character. Other questions? Yes?
I noticed it was Washington National Airport.
Yes, Washington National Airport.
Is that an editorial comment?
An editorial comment. Why is it, oh, well, someone's, okay, so why am I calling it Washington National Airport as opposed to what? What else would I be calling it? Oh, Reagan Washington National Airport. Well, yeah. When Bob Barr was in Congress, this guy was an enormous horse's ass, and you know, everything that was nailed down in Washington he was naming after Ronald Reagan, including National Airport. Now, most of us who live here are either going to call it National Airport or Washington National Airport. I know very few people that would say Reagan Washington National Airport. And as far as I'm concerned, the names Reagan and Washington should not be together, ever. So yeah, but I mean, I just think it's a local thing that, you know, people who live here would not call it anything else. They just probably call it National Airport. Yeah, but yeah, you're not the first person to catch that. It's a good observation. Yeah. Yes.
Would it be important to read these 2 books in order?
Is it important to read them in order? No. You don't have to read them in order. I think it's always nice in this series to read them in order, because in the second book, Willis has got a girlfriend named Lily, and you get to see how they came together in the first book, but it's not necessary to read them in order. You can enjoy them out of sequence. Yeah. Yes?
I remember when you were here talking about Drink the Tea, and there was some kind of pivotal moment that got the whole ball rolling for you, and that was somebody insulting somebody.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, that's right.
And I wondered if there's a similar kind of pivotal moment that got the second one rolling.
Yeah, there was a pivotal moment in Drink the Tea something that I saw that happened. It's just an incident. Like we were saying, anything could spark a novel. And this incident was someone being really discourteous to someone else in a restaurant, a woman patron being very discourteous to the woman waitress, and they were both Mexican-American, approximately the same age. And you think, you know, there might be a little bit of empathy there, but just the opposite. And this is what got me thinking, you know, it's one of the things that sort of drew me in to Drink the Tea. I guess the thing that would be, you know, what I was talking about before about here's this electronics company and the father and his partner squeeze the son out. That was something that really, really intrigued me, that something like that could happen, and maybe think about the father and the son and their relationship. And that's something that was, you know, very interesting to me. Also, I think for Willis, you know, the whole issue of family and interfamily relationship is very interesting to him because he didn't really have a family growing up. So he's trying to sort of triangulate, you know, how do you do this? I mean, he really doesn't know how that works out. Or, you know, when he sees something like this that, you know, clearly is a failure, he's interested in why, you know, why it didn't work out. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? No? Okay, well, look, I want to thank you all very much for coming today. I want you to know that we have lots of copies of this book. They make wonderful gifts. You can also use them as doorstops and paperweights. And thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.